Dr. Linda Price is Professor of Marketing and Silverdale Family Fellow of the Eller College of Management at the University of Arizona, a former member of the Editorial Review Board for the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science. She currently serves on the editorial board of the AMS Review.
Hi Linda, we'd like to welcome you today and we appreciate the time you're spending with us. The first question is, what spurred your interest in marketing?
Well, I think that I came out of a generation where I really felt like if I walked into a business school, I might get cooties. and so I never envisioned myself being a marketing professor. But I finished my undergraduate in 3 years, and I was just kind of waiting around for a year to go off to law school, and I got recruited into an MBA program. And at the time I really thought I would just stay 1 year. And as I was in that program, I looked around at a lot of other things. Like I looked at PhDs in philosophy and political science and really history. And I kind of felt that if I was in marketing, I could do more things and be really at the heart and center of what was going on in contemporary society. And so that's what really drew me to it, is its ability to pull on all kinds of different social sciences and to have lots of different roots. So I think, I wouldn't say that I was meant to be a marketer. I think I could have been a lot of different things. But I do think that I'm passionate about the opportunity to study people in contemporary society, where I think so much of what's happening is about marketing.
Well, you've certainly proved that it pays to be eclectic in all the work that you've done and your high level of productivity. And of all of that work, what are you most proud of in terms of your academic accomplishments?
I don't know that I would say that there's a single thing that's like what I'm most proud of, but I feel that the thing that I'm most grateful for, which is maybe a different way of being proud, is I'm very grateful that I've been able to mentor a lot of extraordinary doctoral students who have gone on to publish and participate in our discipline in so many ways. And I feel that being a voice in their lives has been a really significant benefit for me. I mean, I feel really blessed by it. So I don't know, proud, more blessed than proud.
Thanks again. And another question is, what do you think has contributed the most to your academic success?
I would say that, in fact, one of the reasons why I feel so blessed that I've been able to be a voice in a lot of young people's lives, a lot of young scholars' lives, is that was the thing that contributed the most to my success. Is that I feel that I had really engaging, significant, thoughtful scholars who cared enough to benefit me with their wisdom. And I think I was very, very influenced by the person who chaired my dissertation, Raj Srivastava. And he gave me this notion that my responsibility was to the next generation of scholars. And the place that he got that was from one of the most important mentors in my life after Raj, and that was Jerry Zaltman, who really felt that we have a responsibility to feed the stream, where that's a stream of knowledge and a stream of productive thinking and theorizing in the field of marketing.
I know that you're relatively new to engaging in a lot of formal activities with the Academy of Marketing Science, but based on your experiences and your publishing, how do you think the Academy of Marketing Science has contributed to your career success?
That's an interesting question because I'm still fairly new to this organization, although I've of course published in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science, JAMS. But I think that it has been so maybe I should also say that I hope that my most important contributions are still to come. And in that context, I think that the Academy of Marketing Science is going to be very important. Last summer, I went for the very first time to the event in Oslo, the Academy of Marketing Science World Congress. And you know, one of the things that was so wonderful and refreshing about that was that I met a whole lot of people I've never met before who are not students. So I feel like every year when I go to the conferences that I go to the most often, I'm meeting the same set of distinguished scholars. But this was an opportunity to really break out of that and meet very new people who are who have a rich array of insights and thoughts about the world, and particularly the international character of it was really interesting for me. The other thing that I think was really significant for me is the number of people who I've admired for so many years who are extraordinarily loyal to the community that constitutes the Academy of Marketing Science. And to feel that kind of community, that kind of bond between people that I really admire and respect, was very engaging also for me. So I think I have to answer this in a forward-looking sense. I do think that this is an important organization, and that it is crystallizing for me some of the things that are the most important to me in belonging to a scholarly organization, which is that sense of community, that sort of intellectual excitement and engagement that you get from exchanging very, very different kinds of perspectives. So I think I hope it's going to be something that contributes to the things I do next.
Thanks again for your observations of the community that you've observed in the Academy of Marketing Science, and the fact that so many individuals are strongly committed to the Academy, forming this very close-knit community. And the next question is, in your area, what do you see as the most important areas of research for the future?
Boy, that's a nice small question, huh? Well, let me talk a little bit about my current passions in terms of where I think the field might go. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to visit concepts that we've put into nice and tidy boxes that really just don't fit there anymore, given the changes that we've seen in the world, and that maybe never really fit there that well before anyway. And as an illustration, I'll talk about something that has been at the heart of my research always, and that's that consumers really don't care that much about brands. They don't really care that much about a lot of the things that we're concerned with measuring. What they really care about are their own identity projects, their circle of social support, the people that they're really connected to, and that those things that they're trying to do in their lives. And I think that, so when we look at something like brand loyalty, it's time to rethink that, because I don't think that we are as loyal to brands as we are loyal to people, and then brands become resources for helping in those social relationships. Or we have identity projects that we're trying to accomplish, and brands are important as resources in that. So two things that I think are really important as places that we can go as a discipline are first of all, to think not about individual consumers, but to think about consumers as nested in social systems, and the way in which those networks drive the value of goods, and the way that when we're operating in those networks, that drives the value of goods. And a lot of my own research has been focused on a very important network for me, and that's family. And so I think that it's time for us to tackle, how do we think of families with all of their complex parts, their array of different goals? How do we think about them as a unit of analysis? And how do we think about what kinds of products and services we offer to them? But that's not the only network. There are lots of other networks that we might explore. I just think that our world is made up of networks, of social relationships, and that addressing those is really important. The other thing I think that's really important is to really think about what we offer as resources, where consumers are really the integrators of last recourse. That what consumers are really trying to do with the brands we offer them, with the products we offer them, with the services that we offer them, is they're trying to get some kind of job done. And it's not about us. It's really about them. It's about what job they want to do and where we are in that job that they're trying to accomplish. So instead of measuring brand loyalty, let's look at what really matters to them, what their loyalties are really about, and then try to figure out where we are in that and how many ways we can help them and what ways we can connect with the goals that they're trying to accomplish at the individual level, at the coalitional level, and at the collective level.
What are the recommendations that you would make for those who are in the early stages of their academic career?
Yes, I would give a lot of recommendations, and actually those recommendations would run counter to conventional wisdom. So whoever listens to this tape should keep that in mind as I offer these recommendations. And the first recommendation I would have is actually not to worry about tenure at all. Forget about tenure. Tenure is a really stupid thing to map your career to. If you don't get it, you can go someplace else and get it, and it's not very important anyway. So let your passions and your curiosity and the questions that deeply engage and mystify you drive what you do, and not the need to get tenure. So I would say don't worry about getting tenure. The second thing I would say is don't choose your co-authors strategically. Don't say I'm going to work with a really famous professor because that way I'm more likely to get published or I'm more likely to learn more. Choose your co-authors on the basis of who's going to keep you working from day to day, from night to night, from weekend to weekend, that's going to energize you and also support you, so that when you get a paper rejection, who cares? Because the collaboration and the spirit of that collaboration has already paid for the effort. That you have already been rewarded by what you've learned and who you've collaborated with, and you don't care. It's not that you won't keep trying and keep trying to share your voice, but you are engaging with the process so much that some of the rest of it doesn't matter. And then a third thing that I think I would say or offer as advice is, in fact, to really only study questions that you want the answer to, that you yourself want the answer to. First of all, if you want the answer to them, probably there are other people out there that want the answer to. And if somebody out there has already found the answer, you're not going to feel bad. You're going to be happy to find that answer too. So you won't be worried about reinventing the wheel. You'll be really interested in discovery. And if somebody else got there first, you're still going to be glad to find that out. So that's a third piece of advice I'd offer. And I'll stop there because otherwise this interview could go on a really long time.
Thanks again. And could you sum up in a few statements what you consider the key accomplishments in your academic career?
Okay, so what are my major contributions as I see them?
Yeah.
So there was a really wonderful author who was interviewed once, and I apologize, I don't actually remember her name, but she won some really wonderful award, and they asked her what she did. And she said, I feed the stream. That's what I do, I feed the stream. And I'm not a river, and I'm not an ocean, but I'm always part of that stream. And I'm contributing to it in a way that I think can make a difference, can add up to something substantial. So when I think about what I think the streams I've fed, I think that I've always taken the perspective of a socially situated, culturally situated, imaginative, agentic consumer. And so I've never really believed that that marketers were in charge. I always really thought that consumers were going to use things in ways we couldn't imagine. We're going to exert agency in the environment in ways we couldn't envision, with lots of public policy implications, with lots of management and marketing implications, and that also people were going to engage and relate with each other in ways that have important repercussions for the field. And so I did some work very early on where I talked about a market maven who shared information with people and created a different structure to the marketplace by the way that they wanted to and did share information. And I looked at people on whitewater river rafting trips and the way that they formed a community and a harmony with nature that was rewarding for them. And I looked at the way that families try to pass heirlooms down through family, from family to family, and where that becomes the focus of their energies. And now I'm looking at families and the way that they bring a technology into the home and it bounces up against what the family used to do before and what it hopes to become or thinks is possible. And it bounces up against spaces. You know, you get a Wii game and you have to move the living room around, and it bounces up against other objects. Things get displaced, and it creates a different way of thinking about diffusion of innovation that focuses on that compatibility dimension in a really different way, that examines the way that our things enter these social worlds and these imaginative places that consumers live and act. And so I think all my work is really about that. Commercial friendships, the way that in a service encounter, the relationship between the customer and the service provider can become so close that it's not about satisfaction anymore. That loyalty is really driven by that bond of intimacy that constitutes a commercial friendship, and how that might be different from other kinds of friendships. So I think that just knowing about and trying to share that consumer with the world and in as many ways as I can has been sort of my major substantive contribution.
Thanks for going over your accomplishments, but it seems like that you have not always followed the path that everyone else is going down, that you have been very independent in terms of looking at how you approach research and your thoughts about the areas that need most contribution in the field of marketing. Could you tell us a little bit about why you've taken this approach to your academic career?
Yeah, you know, almost everything that I'm famous for, somebody told me not to do many times, or many people told me not to do many times. So I cannot even begin to tell you the number of things that are my most cited stuff that many, many wise people told me would never get published in a major journal. So it is true that somehow somehow I departed the course, and I methodologically I'm so Catholic it's unreal. Like I really don't have any adherence to a particular toolkit. I really try to come up with a research question and then choose what I think is going to help me answer that question best. So I do think I'm a little bit different than a lot of people. What made me different, I don't know, but what's persuaded me to be different are the things that I talked about from a young scholar perspective, that I really think you just have to do what really gets you up in the morning. That if you're not doing what you're passionate, engaged with, and curious about, then you should retire and do that instead. And so maybe there will come a time when I don't want to do research. But I have a colleague, Sid Levy, who's over 85, and he comes into the office and he still tells me about the research that he's exploring and the topics that he's studying. And I think, people are probably of two minds about that. They go, why are you doing that now? But for me, I think that's wonderful. He's so alive, he's so engaged with the next mystery. And I think that's why I'm not on everybody else's path, because I'm looking for the question that's engaged in my world.
Thanks, Linda, for joining us, and I'm certain that especially many young scholars are going to benefit greatly from your insights and suggestions about your approach to your academic career, and give them lots of things to think about.
You're welcome. Very welcome. Thank you. I'm honored to participate.